Hello and welcome everyone out there. Week number 10 of Programming Fundamentals with Python. In the theory section of this week, we covered about the Python list, why they are used, why they are useful, how they are used, their syntax, examples, and other theoretical aspect. In this video, in this lecture, I will focus only on the programs that will demonstrate the use of list and how they are used in the Python with the help of different examples. Let us start our first example. First four lines, as you are very much familiar, they are comments. In line number 5, I create a list. The name of this list is list1. You can actually provide any meaningful, useful name to the list. And the rules and regulations are the same as we already studied in the variables section. So the same rules you can apply here on giving names to the list. In this example, I have created a list. The name is list1. And then with the help of this assignment operator, I assign these values to the list. If you remember in the theory, I told you that you have to enclose the members, the elements of the list in square brackets. And here is the case. In this case, we have 4 elements. They are separated with the help of the commas. Okay, and they are enclosed in square brackets. The total number of elements in this case is 4. If you print list 1, it will display all these elements in the form of a list. Okay. In this first program, we created a list, we give it a name, and we assign it 4 elements, 4 values. Okay, and then we display it with the help of the print function. In this example, all the elements were of type integer. The data type of all the elements of list 1 were same. All were integer type. Let us see our second program. Our second program also exactly is the same thing as our first program. The only difference is that here in the second program, we want the list to store floating point numbers. You can say that the data type of all the elements of this list is now floating points. The output of this program is the 3 elements and all having the same data type float. You can also use a list to store string type data, and we will demonstrate it in our third program. Now here we have a list which contains 4 elements, and all the elements are of type string. John, Paul, George, and Ringo. All are string constant. If you see the output of this program, it will display the 4 elements of the list in the form of a list, and all the elements are having data type of string because we have enclosed them in the single quotation. You can also enclose them in double quotation as well, and they're separated with the help of a comma, and they are enclosed in the square brackets which indicate it is a list. From program number 1, 2, and 3, we can actually conclude that we can use a list to store integer type data, as we saw in program number 1. We can use a list to store floating point data, as we saw in program number 2, and we can use a list to store string type data, as we just see in program number 3. But there is not the only possible options. Sometimes we required a list to store different types of data, like a collection of integer, floating, and string type data. That is also possible. Those people who are familiar with array, they could be thinking that inside array the data elements are of the same time. There is one of the distraction. So remember, in the theory week I told you that array is actually not present in the Python, but it has a more powerful feature than array, and that is called the list. So you can consider list in the context. You can understand the concept of the list in the context of the array, but with more functionalities. And here is one of the example. Inside the list, you can actually use different types of data, or you can use a list to store integer, floating, and character or string type data, all in a single list. That is possible and not possible in array. So a list is more powerful than array. It has more feature, more flexibility as compared to the array. Okay. In this case, we have used a list. The name of the list is list1, and it contains different types of data, a mix of data. If you run this program, the output is going to be a list of different types of values. Program number 5. Our program number 5 is about a function which is also has the same name as that of the list, and the function is list. It is actually a built-in function, and you are quite familiar with the range function that we have already seen in the for loop. The range function here has a value 5. Remember, it can take 3 parameters. The first and the last parameter is optional. 5 mean the range, the size of this range. It will start from 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, and then 4. What's happening here? This list built-in function will actually convert these sequence of numbers, this range of number, into a list. And the identification of a list is like this. They will be enclosed inside the square brackets. Hence, you can convert any sequence of number into a list with the help of list built-in function. Here is the output of this program. You see, the sequence starting from 0 up to 4 has been converted into a list with the help of this list built-in function. So using list, you can convert objects to a list. Program number 6 is about repetition operator. In the theory, we talk about repetition operator. The static is actually a arithmetic operator which is used for multiplication. But once the multiplication operator is applied on a list, then it will known as a repetition operator. For example, here we have a list, and the list contain a single element, and that element is 0. Static 5 mean you have to print this value 0. How much time? 5 times. Means it will repeat or making copies of this single element 5 times with the help of this repetition operator. Here we have applied the repetition operator over a list that contains only a single element. Here we are applying it on a list which contains more than one element. In this case, the list has 3 elements. And how many copies are required, or how many repetitions are required? 3. First, it will display 1, 2, 3 for the first time, then for the second time, and then for the third time. And in line number 7 and line number 8, we are printing these values. The output of this program is going to be like this. It displayed the element of the list 5 times, and here it displayed all the elements of the list 3 times. Our next program will demonstrate the concept of index. What is index? Every element of the list has a unique location, or you can say position, inside the list, and that is referred by the index. Another thing to remember about the index is that the index of the first element is always 0. You can say it's not started with 1, it starts with a 0. Okay, so 10 is stored at index 0, 20 has an index 1, 30 has index 2, and 40 has index 3. The number of indexes, or you can say the index of the last element, is 1 less than the size of the list. How is that? Here we have 4 elements and the index of the last element is 3. So 4 minus 1 is 3. If you want to access these elements, you can also access them with the help of their indexes. It's like this. Hey print function, I have a list. The name of the list is my underscore list. Go there. It has several elements. Display the element that is stored at index 0. So it will display 10. And then again, hey print function, I have a list of elements with the name my list. It has several elements. Go to the my list, go to index 1 and print the elements stored at that location, that is 20. And then for 30 and 40, it will display all the elements of this list. It means that you can access the elements of the list with the help of their indexes. You can also use a loop in this case. How? You can see that I am repeatedly writing the name of the list, my list, my list, my list, my list. Why not to write it once and then change provided different indexes? That is the case here. Instead of using my list again and again, I have used it once inside the while loop, and then it will be executed as long as this condition is true. So the output of this program is always the same as the previous program. But here we have used the while loop. We also have a very useful function which is called len, and it stands for length. It will actually return the numbers, the total number of elements that a list contains. Let's suppose we have a list. Again, the name of the list is my underscore list. In this case, it has a total number of 4 elements. I want to know how many elements my list actually contains. For that purpose, I can use the len function. The syntax is like this. You have to provide the name of the list inside the parentheses to this function. And here I am assigning the output to a variable size. With the help of print function, we will be able to find the value of the size. In this case, the value is 4, which means this list has a total of 4 elements. If you add in other elements, now the size is 5 and the output is going to be 5. Next program for this week is about changing or modifying an element of the list. Students, we are performing different operations on the list, right? First, we saw that you can apply the len function to find the total number of elements of a list. Now we want to explore that you can actually modify any element of the list with the help of this statement. You need two things. The first thing that you need is to provide the index. There is which element you want to change. What is the position, the location, the index of that value? For example, I want to change this value 1 by 99. So first I need to provide the index. The name of the list is numbers, and then it is followed by the index, the location, the position. Is this the location of the first element is 0, I provide 0, and then the value that you want to assign, the new value, the modified value, that is 99. If you run this program, you will see the old list before modification and the new list after modification. So here you can see we have modified the first element, and that is possible with the help of line number 7. Okay, because the index is 0. Let's suppose you want to change this value 5 to 50. First you need to find the index. So the index of this value is 4, and then you have to provide the new value. So the new value of this variable is 50, and it is possible. Once you run this program, the output is going to be like this. So let us move to our next program, and that program is about another operation which is known as list concatenation. Concatenation actually means combining or merging two lists. In this simple example, I have two lists, list 1 and list 2. List 1 has 4 elements, while list 2 also has 2 elements. And then I create a third list with the name list 3. which contains all the elements from list 1 plus all the elements from list 2, and they are concatenated, combined, merged with the help of this plus operator. If you print this list 3, you will see that it will contain all the elements that are actually contained in list 1 and in list 2. In this program, we actually consider lists that contain integer type values. That is not always the case. Sometimes we want to concatenate lists that contain string type data or even float type data or maybe a mixture type data. That is also possible. In this example, I have a list of string which contains 3 values. The name of the list is girl's name, another list which contains 3 elements, and it has a name boy names. And then I am combining the list not in a separate list. This time I am using the existing list, that is the girl's names, which will now contain all the 6 elements, 3 elements itself and 3 elements from the boy names. And after that I am printing them with the help of print function. The output here is going to be all the girl's name and all the boy's name. Another difference in this program from the previous one is that here I am using the compound assignment operator here. So that is possible. You can also concatenate the string value. Our next program is very important one, and it is related with the searching. You can search a list for any item, for any element. The output of the search is successful if the element is found in the list, and it is unsuccessful otherwise. For that, we have to use the in keyword. And remember, this is a sequential search. First, it will compare the element with the first element in the list. If it is equal, the search is successful. Otherwise, it will compare it with the second element. If it is equal, search is successful. If not equal, it will compare it with the third element. If it is equal, the search is successful. If not, it will move to the next item. Then it will compare it with the final element. If that matches, then the search is successful. Otherwise, the search is unsuccessful. So we have a family name, which is a list which contains 4 elements, and then we are asking the user to provide a value, an element that the user wants to search, a name that the user wants to provide. Assign it to a variable search, and then on the base of that variable, we are actually making a comparison. That is, hey, search the list family name with the name provided by the user. If it matches any of the element of the list, then print this statement was found in the list. Otherwise, print that it was not found in the list. So the output of this program is going to be, first we need to provide a name. For example, I provide John. John is present in the list. So it will display me the message that John was found in the list. The search is successful. If you provide it any other name and the name is not in the list, for example Zia, then it will display a message that Zia was not found in the list. So you can search a linear list, or with you can search a list with any item, for any item provided by the user, and the search will be successful if the name is found. Otherwise, it will not be successful. Let's move to our next program. Our next program is about another method. There is the append. Append actually means adding a new element to the list at the end. So initially I have a list which contains no element. In line number 6, I am adding an element to this list with the help of append method. It will actually add the element Ali to this list. As it has no element, so it will become the first element. After that, I want to add another element, that is Bilal, to this list. It will be added after the Ali, because append will add a new element to the end of the list. And then at line number 8, I am printing the list, name list. So it will display the list with all the elements, and currently we have 2 elements, that is Ali and Bilal. If you want to add another element, then you have to repeat the same thing like this. So it will add another element. Now I have 3 elements. There is another way of doing the things, and this is actually mentioned in this program. This program has a logic, and the logic is like this. Once you run this program, it will ask you whether you want to repeat the program, run the program again or not. If you provide y as an input, then the program will execute it again. If you provide any character other than y, then the program will be terminated. So we are making our decision on a character, and that is y. For that, I use while loop. While the user again is a variable which will contain the value input by the user. If the value provided by the user is equal to y, then what will happen? All the things inside the while loop will be executed. All the statements will be executed. So the first statement here at line number 8 inside the while loop is that it will ask you for a name. Enter a name. Once you enter the name, that name will append to this list, which is an empty list like the previous case. It will become the first element of the list, and then after adding this element to the list, it will display another message. Do you want to continue? Do you want to add another name? Now here is the logic. If you provide y, if you enter y, then what will happen? It will actually execute the loop again. However, if you provide any other character, then the loop will not be executed again. We will have to come outside the loop, and then it will display here are the names of the names you enter, and then it will print all the names of present in the list. If you run this program, it will ask you for a name. Suppose I enter Ali. Ali is added into the list, and then it is asking me whether I want to continue. If I press Y, then the program will execute the while loop again, and it will ask me for another name. Suppose I have entered Bilal. Again, it will ask me for another name. Yes, okay. It will execute the loop for the third time. Suppose I have entered Tia now. Again, it will ask me, now that's enough. I do not want to enter any other name. So I have to input a character other than Y. It could be A, it could be B, it could be C, it could be D, anything. Okay. So it will terminate the loop. And then finally it displays the names of the list that I have already entered into the list. Beside from append method, which actually adds an element to the end of the list, we also have another very useful method that is known as the insert method. Insert method will also add an element to the list. However, here we have to specify the location by using the index where we want to insert the element. In this case, we have a list. The name of the list is names. It has 3 elements, James, Katrina, and Bilal. And then I want to add another name, another element to this list at the first location. So here's the question. At first location, we already have an element that is Katrina. How we can add this element? Or if we add this element, what is going to be happened with this name? The answer is like this. It will shift the name to the next location. The new location of this element will be 2. So previously it was stored at first location. Now it will be available at the second location. Okay. And another thing that will happen is that the total number of elements will be increased by 1. Previously we have 3 elements in the list. Now we will have 4 elements in this list. Let us see the output. So you see the list before the insertion, it contains only 3 elements, while after the insertion, we have add another element at the first location, and it moves the Katrina to the next location. And now we have total of 4 elements in this list. You can also add element to the list with the help of insert statement, insert method, but here you have to provide the location, the index of the element. Next program demonstrate the concept of sort function. And it is very simple. You have a list of elements, but the elements are not in sorted form, and you want the elements to be sorted in ascending order, right? So here we want to display the list in the original form, and then we apply the sort method over this list, which sort all the elements in ascending form. The output of this program is that it will display the element in ascending form like this, starting from the lowest term moving toward the highest term. Sometimes we require the list to be printed in descending order, and for that you have to provide a parameter to the sort function that is reverse equal to true. By default, the reverse function has a value of false, which display the element in ascending form, but if you want to display them in descending form, then you have to provide this parameter. You have to pass this parameter to the function sort, which will actually display the element in descending order like this. Sometimes we require the list element to be displayed in a reverse order, starting from the last element, then the second last, then the third last, and so on. For that, we also have a function available in the Python that we can use with the list, and the function is the reverse function. The syntax is like this. First, you have to write the name of the list, followed by a full stop, and then the reverse function. It will display the elements in reverse order, like 5 4 3 2 5 4 3 2 and 1. The reverse function has this role to play. Next program is about remove method. It is opposite of the add method. It actually removes an element from the list, and here is a demonstration, an example program. We have a list with the name food. It contains 3 elements: pizza, burgers, and chips. First, we want to display the element of the original list with the help of the print function. And then I want the user to provide me a name from this list that he or she wants to remove. I assign that value to the variable item. And then here I am removing the element. Here is the syntax. First, you have to write the name of the list followed by the dot and the method remove. Inside the parentheses, you have to provide the item, the element that you want to remove from the list, and that is provided by the user. Let's suppose the user wants to remove the burgers from this list. So the item will contain the burgers. Be aware of the capitalization. The letters that are capital should be written in capital, and those that are small should be written in small letters. After that, I want to display the updated list. So here I'm using the print function to display the new updated list. Let us give it a run to see the output of this program. Okay, here is the list in the original form. Which item should I remove? Remove the burgers from the list. Here is the updated list. The burgers has been removed, and here is the updated list. In case of adding an element, the size is increased by 1. Once you remove an element from the list, the size is decreased by 1. Another thing, once you remove an element, the element following the removed item will take the element that has been removed. For example, the previous location of the chips was 2, the index was 2. After removal of the burger, the new index of the chips is 1. If you want to access this element, you have to provide the updated index of this element. So this is how you can remove an element from a list. Beside from remove, we have a statement also that you can apply over the list, and the statement is the del statement. By using the del statement, you can actually also remove an element from the list, and for that you have to provide the index, not the item. If you want to remove an element by providing the index of the variable, the index of the element. So you can also remove an element by providing the index of the element, and here is the case. First, you have to write the keyword or the statement del followed by the name of the list and the index of the element that you want to remove. In this case, I want to remove the element that is at position 2, and the element here is 30. It will remove the 30 from the list and will move the rest of the element one position backward. Okay, so before deletion the list was 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50, and after deletion of 30 the list is 10, 20, 40 and 50. Next program is about two functions that are actually twin functions. They're very simple. The functions are min and max. Min actually display the smallest value of the list and the max display the largest value of the list. So if you have a list and the list contains the elements, here we know that the smallest element is 20 and the largest element is 50. Let me make a correction. If you want to display the smallest value, you have to write the min function, and if you want to display the largest or greatest value, you have to use the max function, provided inside the parentheses you have to provide the name of the list on which you want to apply this function. So we want to apply it on the my list. In this case the smallest value is 2 while the greatest value is 50. Next programs is about another operation, and the operation is the copy operation. Here is the program which will demonstrate how to make a copy of a list. We have a list. The name of the list is list1, and we want the element of this list to be copied into a new list, that is list2. For that you have to use the assignment operator. Assign the values of list1 to list2. So all the elements of list1 will become available to this list2 also. An important technical point here to understand is that once you do this thing, it will not actually create a fresh copy of the elements of list1. It will actually allow the list2 variable to refer to this list. You can say that now two variables actually refer to the same memory locations, to the same list, to the same elements of the list. How we can make it comfort for that we can actually check. So let us change the value of this list, any value. In this case I'm changing the value that is stored at the first location. So the element which is stored at the index 0 is 1. The old value was 1. After execution of this statement the new value will be 99. Okay, now I have make a change to list1, but if you display the value of list2, you will also see that the change is also reflected there, because both are actually referring to the same. This was about copying a list to another list. Finally, we have another program to address the limitation of this program, because here in this program the problem is that actually once you made a change to the list, it will also affect the other list that is actually referring to that list. We want a fresh copy of the list. For that we have the final program for today's lecture. Actually what's happening here, we have a list. As we saw in the previous program, the list has 4 elements, 1 2 3 4. Okay, and then we create a new list, an empty list which contains no element at the beginning. After that what I need to do, I need to copy to make a copy of all the elements of list1 to list2. For that I need a for loop for item, which is a variable, and it will take the values from list1, that is 1 2 3 and 4, and then after taking the values from list1 it will actually add those values to list2 with the help of append method. Remember, append is a method which actually adds element to the end of the list. First it will add 1 here, then it will add 2 to the list2, then 3 to list2, and then 4 to list2. With the help of this statement we are actually assigning all the elements of list1 to list2. After that what I'm doing is I am displaying or printing the elements of list2. So we know that list2 has the elements 1 2 3 and 4 because we have assigned them in these two statements. After that I am making a change to the list1 0 index location, there is 1, and I'm changing the element to 99 with the help of this statement. Now here the change will only be reflected in list 1 and not in list 2, because we have created a fresh copy of the list. Okay, so it is different from the previous case. If now you print the elements of list 1 and the element of list 2, you will see that they will contain different element at 0th location, at 0 index. Here is list 1. We have updated the element, but the updated value is only reflected in list 1 and not in list 2. So these were two methods how you can actually make a copy of the list that will actually refer to the same list, and make a fresh copy of the list that will refer to the different memory location. And we saw examples of both of these cases. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet. See you in another video. Till then, goodbye.